Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Percy Brown, aka the most charismatic man in entertainment. He's an actor, entertainer, and the host of the PrinceofFreshAir podcast. Please enjoy Percy Brown. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. Today, I am here with Percy Brown, the most charismatic man in entertainment. He's an actor, entertainer, podcast host of the PrinceofFreshAir. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh man, that just brought on some warmth to my heart. I don't even know what to say. I'm flabbergasted.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just a little bit about me. Like you said, yes, I am an actor. I've been acting for over 10 years now. Podcasting for going on almost a year now, and just taking it every day, day by day, especially with the pandemic, and just being grateful to be in the spot that I'm in now. So
I love it. That's awesome. 10 years of acting. Kudos. Wow.
Not an easy journey.
No, for sure. But I love it. And podcasting for a year, that's amazing. We haven't quite reached a year on Sustaining Creativity Podcast, but we are on our way. May 1st is our year mark. So
you started yours before mine, so
here we are nitpicking dates. It's all good.
You believe this?
I love it. Well, I'm super excited to have you join me today to chat about creativity and hear what your thoughts are and how your experience of creativity is and what it's like. So why don't we just dive in?
Oh, creativity. We was talking about this briefly, but it is one of those things where you don't really think about it until you actually sit down and think about it. So I've been acting for 10 years now. So I've been used to being on stage and, transitioning to TV and film, dance and doing magic tricks. That was creativity for me, was performing. Right.
Yeah.
And then especially during the pandemic, I noticed that it kind of goes into my personal life too. When I'm not on stage, I have a certain structure to life. So when I see creativity, I just think about something that makes you happy. So for me, being creative is, before the pandemic, I used to go to the gym 5-6 days a week, do CrossFit and kickboxing. Now I'm running outside. Like I never thought about doing that. So that's creativity, and that keeps me, in tune with myself and continue doing workouts. So just little things, cooking, podcasting, editing, like stuff that I've done once in a while, but I never really done until now. And now I'm entrenched and I'm enjoying it. So
Nice. I love that. I love the kind of making, gyms aren't open. So your new process of exercising is getting outside, running, and seeing that as a creative alternative to what you'd been doing before. I think that's awesome. And to see that creativity doesn't necessarily have to be this big production. It's as small as changing how you exercise is a creative experience.
I'll give you another one. Is something I just thought about? So because everything's so shut down, one of the things I found myself doing is when I watch movies, because a lot of gigs isn't happening, I find myself, what I do now is when I watch movies, I listen to the dialogue, I pause the movie and I just practice it. It's like being in an acting class. I was watching I think it was Civil War, and Captain America was talking, and I paused and I was like, all right, how would I say this? And then I just start playing with different voices and stuff. It's one of those weird things actors, and I'm sure other people, creative people, get, but it's it's been fun. I've been kind of learning on my own doing that. So
That's awesome. Like, yeah, when we can't get together and here's, you're watching a film, what an awesome way to think about, oh, wow, if I were this character, how would I step into that role and say these lines and practice that? And so it's that like flexing that muscle that might not be happening right now in other capacities.
100%.
I love it. That's amazing. And, I imagine, know the acting world rather well as well. So I imagine, there's a handful or more of creative challenges that cross your path. And how do you face creative challenges in your life?
Oh, yeah, you just speaking the truth here. Yes, a lot of challenges that go with it. One of the biggest ones is, especially when I first started, was scene study, understanding characters, understanding how
Mhm.
to break down scripts,
Mhm.
industry terms like what is stage left, stage right, stuff like that. Um, and it was one of those things that, because it was so new to me, I was entrenched to it, and so I started to learn it really fast.
Mhm.
But what keeps me going is the fact that I know I enjoy it. Like, I don't want to be at a
Mm.
9 to 5. I don't want to be, you know, cleaning tables. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, I just love it. Um, and so i- it's a tough journey. A lot of rejection, a lot of learning. I'm still learning. I'm
Yeah.
still a young guy, so I still got a lot of miles to put in. But I think for me, because I know what my end goal is, I know what I want to do, and I'm so set into it
Mhm.
that all the bumps and the bruises I take throughout the path just makes me stronger. So,
Mm.
uh, and it's weird because a lot of people think I'm like 38, right? And I just turned 25, but it's only because I've been doing this for so long. Like, you just kind of get, you build, you're forced to grow up in a sense. You're forced to kind of
Yeah.
grow up fast. Um, and it's it's a creative process that I thoroughly enjoy. I've worked with many different teachers, and I've worked with many different actors, picking up different skills and techniques.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's what also helps with my creativity, is the
Mhm.
fact that I get to learn something from everybody else. Like, every director directs different,
Yeah.
every actor approaches a scene different, every actor approaches their character different. Um, so every time I work a gig, I enjoy it because I'm always learning. I don't go
Mm.
into a gig acting like I'm Will Smith or I'm Tom Cruise. I go in there just as a average guy. I'm just there to put on the show for people,
Yeah.
and I'm learning. I'll learn from the key grip if I have to.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me humble about the whole journey.
Mhm.
So yeah, I still got a long way to go. But things are going real well, and I'm like, even now I'm doing voiceover auditions, something that I never, like, a year ago. I was like, voiceovers, why would I do that? And now it's been something I do almost every day now. So it's fun. I think
That's
if you allow
amazing.
yourself to be, if you fully commit yourself to it, it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun and a lot of things you can learn from it.
Yeah, and it sounds like you face creative challenges head on. They're not gonna knock you down. You see it as a learning opportunity. I'm gonna learn from this, I'm gonna grow, and I'm gonna keep working towards my goal.
Absolutely. And the key to all of that is really being true to yourself.
Mm.
It's one of
Yeah.
those things. It's hard to admit it, but it's one of those things where you can't sell yourself short,
Mm.
because
Mhm.
sometimes the problem, especially for me, theater is one thing. You can play all these different characters that you want to, but now that I'm in a transition in TV and film, you can't do that. If
Yeah.
I can't, if I'm not an emotional guy, I can't play, a rape victim or Law and Order.
Mhm.
So it's definitely one of those things where you have to kind of be mindful of your ability and have fun with it. So for me, Rico Suave, the guy next door, that's stuff that I enjoy, and I know I can bring my personality to it. So I think the key is to always bring yourself to the role or to the project that you're doing, because if you don't, then it's just, you're always going to be in the conflict of, how do I enjoy this? How do I get creative with it? I always feel like I'm handcuffed. So I
Yeah.
think that's the key.
Nice. No, I think that absolutely bringing yourself, I think a lot of times we forget because we're putting on someone else or a character that, oh, you leave yourself behind or at the door. But how do you bring who you are to this role or this character and let it inform and have it be really authentic within your system? And that definitely shows up on screen. It shows up in a live theater as well. But yeah, I really like that you bring yourself, because I think you have to know yourself to bring yourself, right?
Right. Absolutely. 100%. It you have to kind of be emotional. You have to be aware of what's
Yeah.
going on. It's a business at the end of the day. So, for me, my hair, the sunglasses, it's part of my brand because I know the kind of person I am. So,
Yep.
you don't want to sell yourself short, but you also got to be honest about, who
Mm-hmm.
you are as a person. So I think that's key.
Absolutely. I like that, being honest about who you are as a person. So important and so challenging sometimes to be really honest with yourself about, like, yeah, I'm not the ingenue, or I'm not the leading man, even though I
Right.
desperately wish I was. And being really honest, like, no, I can accept that that's not the reality right now.
Right. I had that conversation with my agent before I signed with them when we sat down and talked about that. Where, like I said, one one of the things we talked about was how I'm always perceived as I'm older, or sometimes I get younger depending
Mm-hmm.
on what I'm wearing. But a lot of people always associate me with being older. So he was like, "Okay, here's the game plan. We're going to submit you for older and younger, just because you can be perceived different ways." Now,
Yeah.
do I want to play somebody's father on TV? Absolutely not, especially as a 25-year-old. But you know, hey,
Fair.
you get to have fun with the role. I never been
Yeah.
a dad before, so I could play it in that aspect where
Yeah.
I'm a first time dad, or I'm still enjoying the youth and
Mm-hmm.
exploring a relationship with children and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it was definitely one of those things we talked about was you don't want to stretch yourself too thin, but you
Mm.
also want to be open to everything. So voiceovers, I'm
Yeah.
doing auditions for commercials. I'm like, why am I getting sent in the room for this? But well, hey, sometimes when you see that dollar amount, you're like,
Doesn't
well,
matter.
right. So, hey, I'm not saying it's all about the money, but
Yeah.
your
And we
landlord do
also
got
have to live, and that's kind of money serves a function for us in this society.
I don't make the rules, it's like Monopoly. I'm just getting a pass here.
There you go. I mean, you strike me as someone who is easily inspired by lots of things. I mean, from creativity to just the environment you're in. But when you think of inspiration, who or what inspires you these days?
What inspires me is people who are passionate, dedicated,
Mm.
hardworking. I was gonna say charismatic, but you don't have to be. Um, Mainly just because I feel like the people you keep around you is the energy you keep yourself.
Yeah.
So, sometimes, you know, when I was still pursuing a career in this, I will only surround myself with actors. But then
Mm.
I started realizing that it's not just actors I can connect with, because not everybody who's an actor is actually passionate about acting.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to they're in love with the idea of the glitz and the glamour of being an actor. But I digress from that. But wink, wink. No,
Yeah. Nothing wrong with admitting that we want to get there. We have
right.
goals. It's okay.
But I think that's what keeps me on my toes and keeps me honest is people who are dedicated, who are
Mm.
passionate, and just put in the hard work because time is short.
Yeah.
I don't have I see it as all right, there's 365 days a year. I
Mm-hmm.
got to make sure I use all these days wisely. I can't just be
Mm.
out there having a good old time and auditions pass me by. I need people to surround me who will inspire me to keep going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I will give on that note my buddy Odysseus, who's a star for the Netflix show Trinkets. He's
Mm.
one of my favorite guys because not only are we in the same age range, but he's been doing it longer. He brings
Mhm.
us a sense of professionalism,
Mm.
and he every time we talk, I always learn something new from him.
Mhm.
You know, when I need advice, when I need guidance, you know, he's been there and done it. You know, he's done things that I'm still trying to achieve. So to have someone in the corner to do that for me, you know, I will be the first to admit, even though sometimes I act like I can do it on my own, I know I can't do it on my own.
Mm.
So you know, I appreciate him for that. And you know, a person that also inspires me. He's not even into entertainment, but John Jones.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah.
yes. If you don't know John Jones, UFC, you know, the greatest light heavyweight champion of all time. I know he's done things outside the ring, but the reason why I choose him is because his fight IQ, his techniques, his
Mm.
creativity in the ring. You know,
Mhm.
you don't see a lot of big guys like him, you know, doing all of these flying kicks and spinning kicks and using his almost every part of his body to hurt people.
Mhm.
Not to say that in a gruesome way, but it's just a certain amount of creativity and fight IQ that he has that a lot of people will never. I won't say never, but a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And you know, stuff like that. I just love watching his matches just because I just see how he thinks and I see how
Mhm.
he moves, and it helps me when I work out or when I'm having a rough patch mentally. I
Mhm.
just think about, okay, I see him digging deep. I see what he's doing. How
Mm.
can I implement myself in that same aspect?
Yeah.
So, you know, I not too many people that inspire me that much. Some people I do like and enjoy watching, but yeah, those two would be my first two
Nice.
people.
Yeah, it's great to have those and people who, may not be in the, entertainment industry, as you said, but who are dedicated and passionate about what they do. It sounds like they really inspire you as well. So
Yeah, I look
cool.
everywhere. Entertainment is everywhere, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to we still talk about creativity, but I'm so curious to ask you, what is your earliest memory of being creative?
Mm, that's a good one. My earliest memory of being creative. You know, I do suffer from the charismatic syndrome, so that means I kind of forgot everything. No, I'm joking. The first moment of being creative, it would probably be, I think I was around 7 to 8, and
Okay.
I used to love WWE. It was WWF at the time,
Uh-huh.
and Kane, Kane and Chris Benoit was my favorite wrestlers. So I remember when I would get bored, um, we would play fight. Me and my brothers would play fight, and obviously, mom was like, "Hey, you can't do that in this house," you know. So we used to have wrestling matches with the action figures. I
Ah,
had a bunch of Rey Mysterio, Big Show, Kurt Angle. I had them all, John Cena, and we would have like these little wrestling matches in the room with the action figures.
that's
It was so great.
awesome.
Yeah, like I would act like I would have Rey Mysterio, I'll put him on top of the bed, and I'll jump off like I'm Superman, elbow drop the toy on the floor and stuff. It was
That's amazing. I love it. I mean, that imaginative play and is so awesome. And I love that that's your earliest memory of being creative. That's
it's
amazing.
it's funny because I'm pretty sure I was probably a creative kid, but
Yeah.
it was one of those things like when I was growing up, I really was only just into reading and
Mm.
chess. Chess
Mm.
was like I still do it. I don't play it as much because not a lot of people on my level to play. Not being cocky or anything, but
Okay,
um,
you get to show off. You get to peacock a little about your chess
well,
ability.
if that's the case, no, I'm joking. Um, no, but I used to just love reading different books.
Mhm.
And chess was like my all-time favorite hobby. I used to do competitions and tournaments. Master
Nice.
Marlin, he passed away, but he was my teacher. And a lot of the principles from chess I was able to implement into life. So
Absolutely.
I think that's how my creativity started, but the wrestling part would probably be my first instance of being creative in my mind.
Yeah, I love it. Well, when I was a nanny in New York City, the youngest child was 6 and he taught me how to play chess. And that was so much fun and a little humbling to be
to be
schooled by a
humiliated.
6-year-old. But it was good.
A funny story about that. So last year, well, during the pandemic, early last year, I did a video with Jubilee on YouTube, and amazing time working with them. And it was I believe his name was Dylan. I think he was 13 years old. And a bunch of us from, I think we were all 19 to 24 at the time. We were playing against him. So it was a little unfair that that he beat us, but man, he was brilliant. He had a lot of those people stumbling, like had no idea what to do.
Oh.
And I ended up playing him on a separate occasion, and he beat me. I give him that.
Yeah.
But oh man, to get beaten by a kid.
I mean, I think it's probably different for you who knows the game, and I was just learning, being taught and then beat by a 6-year-old.
True.
That's a little different.
It's a little more heartbreaking for me.
Yeah,
my ego's taking a shatter to a 13-year-old kid. I can't do this no more. So I quit. I retired.
You retired. That was it. Done.
I'm done. I'm packing groceries now. That's it. You need Uber. I'll be
Well, you kind of spoke earlier about kind of the community that it's not just entertainment, you have a broader community. When you think about your community, how do they impact or influence your creativity?
My community definitely plays a big part in it. And one of the biggest things that I realized is, when I'm in New York, because I live in LA now, but when I'm in New York, I feel so much, I get a different vibe. I feel like I'm back where I should be. I learn new things, I process new information, and I'm always hustling, bustling. It's the city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
So, every day I got to do something. When I'm in LA, it's not that I won't say anything negative about LA, but it's not the same. Like it's a little harder to explore that creativity. But I also keep a community of people who understand, what creativity is, who understand what being a actor or a rapper or a music, doing music or something. People who understand that life. I think that's one of the biggest things is having people who understand how you operate is the key. So for me, if all my friends were 9-to-5ers, it would suck because during that time while they're at work, I'm either sleeping, I'm doing auditions, I'm recording something, and then when they get off work, I'm at work. So it wouldn't work. So my community helps me in the aspect that we understand the struggle of being in the business or pursuing a career in the business. And I can always learn from everybody. I'm not just friends with actors. Like I said, I'm friends with dancers. I actually met a guy who does animation, stuff like that. So I'm always learning from different people, directors, producers, just learning. I think if you allow yourself to diverse your circle and include more people with different backgrounds, it's amazing. The amount of stuff you can learn and connections, a little side note there, but mainly for friendships, having people who understand you and understand the atmosphere that you kind of live and breathe in it makes the journey such more worthwhile, and you don't always feel alone and stuff like that. So Absolutely. But I walk alone though. I walk alone.
We can walk alone and still have community and still be supported. And I was talking to someone else the other day and they were saying, really creative people keep people around who challenge their ideas. so that they
Right.
keep like growing and changing. And you strike me as someone who is open to that, open to having someone show up and challenge, someone who you trust and care about, not someone who you don't know.
I'm
But
not even against that. It's like on the podcast that I do that exact thing. What you're talking about is I
mhm.
invite anybody, friends, people I might have just friended on Facebook.
Yeah.
I love it because it keeps me going. I don't
Hmm.
think like this journey can get lonely sometimes because it's such a demanding job,
Hmm.
industry. A lot of times your close friends and stuff aren't available because while you're at work they probably filming something or they got
Right.
other stuff going on. So I love when people challenge me. I love it when new people come and push me to think further, because
Hmm.
that's what keeps me growing. I don't
Yeah.
want to be stuck in the same place I am. Yes, I was in yesterday. I want to be a different person next week.
Hmm.
So I firmly agree with what she said.
Yeah. I think having people in our lives, or I have people in my own life who challenge me and in how I think or the things that I want to put out and share with people in the world, supporting actors and performers. But, also it can be challenging to have someone challenge your ideas.
It can be, and it takes a level of self-confidence and self-awareness to
Hmm.
do that. Like I
Yeah.
know a lot of celebrities talk about this. Michael Jai White comes to mind because he recently talked about it, but
Hmm.
he don't want yes men around him. He don't want people
Yeah.
just saying yes and yes and yes just because he wants people to tell him, all right, this movie sucks, or maybe you could have did this character a little better. I
Hmm.
love stuff like that. It took me a while to get there because I didn't like that criticism. You in class and someone says, the acting was a little wooden. I can kind of see that you was just reading lines. Like that hurts as an actor.
Yeah.
But it's something that unless willingly invite, um,
Hmm.
even even if someone criticizes me today, I might still be like, all right, give me like 5 seconds just to get back in concentration. All right, what are you talking about? But it's
Right.
still one of those things where it's needed. I need people to tell me, okay, you know, if I'm doing a podcast and audio is not great, I want you to say, hey, that audio kind of sucks. I
Hmm.
can't, I don't know. I'm hearing static waves and sirens in the back. I ain't trying to listen to this.
Yeah.
It's very important. I think as long as you're self-aware, self-conscious, and you
Hmm.
have that self-confidence, you have to welcome it. You have to.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's important, as hard as it is some days, to hear, and yeah, to not take things personally, and be able to say like, okay, this is a moment of growth and a moment of learning, and it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to crumble. I don't have to catastrophize it. I get to keep moving forward and still.
Exactly. Yeah, I tell people this all the time. Will Smith and all of them, they all fail. I won't
Oh
say
yeah.
fail, but they all mess up lines. You think they film
Hmm.
movies perfect? No, everybody, even Jesus made mistakes. Um, it's just that's the beauty of life, and you
Yeah.
just learn from those. And I think as people, sometimes we do get comfortable with, oh, I'm too charismatic, you can't correct me. But
Mm,
if I'm not doing right, I want you to correct me, because at
yeah.
the end of the day, um I have to bring the best version of myself, and I can't
Hmm.
do that if I'm not taking advice or willing to learn from other people the
Yeah.
mistakes I've done to correct. So,
Hmm.
if someone told you always late and you was like, oh, I'm always on time, and every time you show up, you're 30 minutes late, then obviously they're trying to help you out. So,
Yeah, right. We can always learn and grow and change and make new choices. It's the beauty of awareness and being aware of what's happening.
absolutely, 100%.
Nice. Well, how would you encourage others to find creativity in their lives?
How would I encourage people? Stay positive,
Mm.
and really creativity comes from a place where it can connect to your happiness.
Hmm.
So everybody's creativity is different. Some people's creativity is just for the funnest things. You know, they don't really
Yeah.
think too much through it. You know, some people like to throw knives while they're cutting onions. You know, that could be creative to them. But I think if your creativity coincides with something you enjoy and brings you
Mm,
happiness, oh, I mean, if you like cooking, trying new recipes, or you know, buying new appliances like an air fryer, like stuff
mm-hmm.
like that, that's creative, you know, and it's something that you can possibly find to make, you know, bring you joy and happiness. So I
Yeah.
think creativity doesn't have to be performing on camera, being on stage.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be tweaking little things, you know, when you clean and you dance, or you know, when you make your bed, you know, you find something, you know, like a little knickknack that helps you get up in the morning, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. It really just depends on what brings you happiness. And I think anybody can be creative, not just
Yeah.
people in the creative arts. I think even a guy that works 9 to 5 at Best Buy, he can
Mm-hmm.
be creative, you know. And I encourage people to be creative, especially in this time.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, being stuck at home, you kind of have to find ways to get creative, or you will lose your mind. Um,
Absolutely. Oh my
and
gosh. I
it's
love the,
easy.
yeah, I love the positivity piece, the happiness, find something that brings you joy, and the small pieces, the air fryer, try, try a new
Try it.
appliance. I love it. That's so great. Yeah.
Yeah, like I always say in my when I end my podcast, I always say a helping hand is a better hand, and that's
Mm,
really, for me, that is to tell people that no matter who you are, where you come from, how much money you got, where you live, it don't matter. If we all, you know, find happiness within ourselves, you can help somebody else. So
yeah.
for me, you know, talking to the homeless guy down the street is
Mm-hmm.
something that helps me get through my day, because I'm learning something and I'm also helping somebody else who
Mm-hmm.
can use the help. So I'm all about positivity. I might troll, make jokes and stuff like that, but I think at the center of my core, I will always give back and help people,
Mm-hmm.
because uh, we live in a time now where so much hate that we actually need some love. We need a Martin Luther
Yeah.
King somewhere. So I think I think he's right here, but you know.
Yeah. Why can't we all embody a little bit of that and spread it around? I agree. It's important.
100%. You're gonna make me cry a little bit.
Oh. Well, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you today. And I have one final question.
Uh-oh.
What is your secret to creativity?
My secret to creativity. It's it's one of those things I don't think about it that much, but my secret is something really, it goes back to what I said before, just happiness. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when the pandemic started, I use the pandemic because it's so recent, but when the pandemic started, I was so used to auditioning and going out and, you know, just getting opportunities to get in the door in places, that I found myself getting into podcasting. It's not something I ever thought, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I would do. But I always been told, even since my early days from theater, that I had a powerful voice. And
Mm.
you know, especially as I got older, I got more personality, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The most charismatic man in entertainment.
There you go.
Uh, I mean, where did that come from? I don't know, but it's one of those things where I just kind of found myself really thinking about who I am as a person and what
Mm-hmm.
I can do to express myself. So expressing
Mm.
myself is talking, you know,
Yeah.
sharing my charisma and electric personality with people, because if it can help somebody, if people can listen to me and find something new,
Mm-hmm.
that's my goal. Like, because you know, for me, acting has always been to show people uh that no matter where you come from, you know,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how hard life get, you can get to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So everything I do right now is mostly to help other people.
Mm.
So
Nice.
you know, that's my secret, is the fact that I get to help people. You know, I
I
think
love it.
you know,
That's
oh man.
awesome. I mean, yeah. What a great secret. Happiness and helping people. Like, what an awesome combination right now,
Yeah.
particularly in this time where there's lots of isolation and not a lot of connection in terms of like face to face, but most of it's on the internet. So I so appreciate all of the words that you shared today and all of who you are.
I appreciate it.
And if people want to get in touch with you or learn more about your podcast, things you're up to, how would they go about doing that?
Well, first you got to reach Tom Holland. He's my publicist. No, you can find me on Instagram at mr.nodaysoffpercy. And I'm also the host of the PrinceofFreshAir podcast, which is available Spotify and any other place you can find podcasts. And you can also find me on Facebook, Percy Brown. You can also look up some of my credits on IMDb. I'm under Percy Brown,
Perfect.
And I'm a very accessible guy. I'm always checking DMs and being online. So if anybody ever want to talk or need some advice, I only charge $10,000, a small fee, just a small fee.
Just a small, pocket
it's going to the Percy Rent Foundation. So.
Perfect. Oh my God. Well, I will put all of that in the show notes so people can easily find you on social media and IMDb. So thank you so much for chatting. It's been a pure pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so like us on Facebook and Instagram. We are Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and your family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your comments, reviews, and questions. Tune in Tuesdays for a new episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.